Small wins depend on wisdom, big wins depend on virtue. Land is not as good as virtue, and property is not as good as benevolence and righteousness. Conscience is only a heart of right and wrong, and right and wrong is just a matter of likes and dislikes. So we have no choice but to do everything right and wrong, but everything has changed. Self-cultivation, unity of the family, governing the country and pacifying the world are the traditional moral ideals in Confucian culture. Confucianism puts self-cultivation in the first place in the cause of life, and those who want to cultivate their bodies should first correct their minds. It can be seen that first Chinese, how important character cultivation is. Especially for young people who are determined to create a career, whether in the process of struggle or after success, good moral cultivation is indispensable. Wang Yangming's thought of learning of mind pays special attention to his own moral cultivation, and unifies it with the principle of heaven. He believes that conscience, as the inner criterion of right and wrong, has the ability to know good and remove evil. And people can use it to distinguish between right and wrong, good and evil. In other words, a person's moral cultivation from the bottom of his heart will affect his words, actions and principles of dealing with others. The small one affects his trade-off between interests and benevolence and righteousness, and the big one affects whether his life is full of thorns or a smooth road. Duan Ganmu was a native of Jin during the Warring States period. Zhao, Wei and Han lived in Wei after the Jin dynasty. When he was a child, his family was poor and his social status was low, so his ambition could not be realized. He lives in the city of Duanyu in the state of Wei, so people call him Duan Ganmu. He traveled to study the Zai River, studied under Confucius' disciple Bu Shang, Zixia, and became a very learned man. He is very talented, but he doesn't want to be an official. Wei Guozhen Wei Wenhu once visited him, and wanted to grant him an official. But he avoided it and ran away over the wall. From then on, Wei Wenhu respected him even more. Whenever he passed his door by car, he would get out of the car, and hold the crossbar in front of the car to show his respect for Duan Ganmu. His rickshaw driver wondered, Duan Ganmu is just a member of the grass people. Isn't it too much for you to pass by his cottage to show respect? Wei Wenhu replied, Duan Ganmu is a sage. He does not change his integrity in front of power. He has the way of a gentleman. Although he lives in seclusion in poverty, in the alley, but his reputation is thousands of miles away. How dare I not show respect to him when I pass by his residence? He is honored for his virtue, and I am honored for occupying the land. He is benevolent and righteous, and I have property. Land is not as good as virtue, and property is not as good as benevolence and righteousness. This is exactly the person I should learn and respect. Later, Wei Wenhu met Duan Ganmu, and sincerely invited him to Point Guoxing. Duan Ganmu declined. He and Duan Ganmu fell in love with each other, and the two became inexorable friends. Before long, the state of Qin wanted to mobilize troops to attack the state of Wei. Sima Tang remonstrated to the monarch of the state of Qin, Duan Ganmu is a sage. Wei Geoli met him, and the world knows nothing but him. I'm afraid a country like this cannot be conquered by the army. The king of Qin thought it made sense, so he did nothing. In the ancient pre-Qin ballad, there is a ballad, which reads, "My king is good, Duan Gan Mu Jing. My monarch is loyal, Duan Gan Mu Long." Duan Gan Mu was not an official all his life, but he was not a first-class seclusion in the mountains and forests, but hidden in the streets of the city, and among the ordinary people at the bottom of the society. And then, weary of the world chaos and tranquil retreat, disdained to take advantage of the war, and bow to the rich and powerful travelers and diners, so that the overturning scheme, muddy chaos all over the world. On the contrary, those who seek profit and forget righteousness will be spurned by others. In history, there are many examples of immoral people, ascending to high positions and invincible. In the face of money and power, people will question, what is the use of good moral character? However, the real history gives us the best proof that without good moral character, the person with high power, great wealth will not come to a good end and end badly. Zhao Gao, the prime minister of the Qin dynasty, expropriated and indiscriminately killed innocent people during his tenure as an official, but he was in a high position, below one person and above 10,000 people. Dong Zhuo of the Three Kingdoms was rough and treacherous, but he was self-styled prime minister, arbitrary, violent, promiscuous and lawless. Li Linfi in the Tang dynasty was treacherous and insidious, and his means were despicable. He was known as honey in the mouth, sword in the belly, accepting bribes indiscriminately and living luxuriously, but officials to prime ministers. Qin Hui, the adulterous prime minister, was cruel and insidious, framed Chongliang and surrendered, but he was able to act as a prime minister for 19 years. However, Zhao Gao was later killed by his son. Dong Zhuo was killed by Wang Yun and others. Li Linfu's corruption eventually led to the Anshu rebellion, and left an everlasting notoriety. Qin Hui was built to kneel down after his death and will never turn over forever. It is true that officials in high positions are admirable, but their fate has clearly made it clear to the world that the splendor and wealth gained by disregarding morality and burying their consciences at the expense of being spurned and tarnished for thousands of years in the pursuit of success in life. To achieve a certain social status is an important aspect of success. However, status has two meanings. One is the external position of power, and the other is the position in the minds of the people. People with foresight value winning fame in front of them and behind them. Those who are short-sighted can only see the scenery in front of them and cannot hear the scolding behind them. The above-mentioned people who are morally corrupt are all in a moment of glory because of their external position of power. But they are burdened with the scolding of the world and do not know it. Wang Yangming was loyal and patriotic, sympathized with the people, and dedicated wholeheartedly until his death, so he remained immortal, while Liu Jin, a contemporary of Wang Yangming, was notorious for her cunning power and wanton embezzlement, so she had a bad reputation for thousands of years. It can be seen that people who are determined to succeed, no matter what position they are in the end, should not forget the book of virtue. Only by keeping good moral character at all times and constraining one's own behavior, can we create unlimited life value within the limited range of ability, pass on good word of mouth, and become a real big winner on the road of life. A gentleman is as jade as iron. Born into an official family, Wang Yangming received a good education from an early age, and took it as his duty to read the books of saints and sages and to cultivate self-cultivation, and govern the country. During his tenure as an official, he repeatedly made meritorious service, and his political prestige continued to rise, but his official career became increasingly bumpy. Dissatisfied with the control of the government by the eunuch Liu Jin, many upright officials wrote the Emperor Zhengde to severely punish Liu Jin and her henchmen, and they were put on death row. Wang Yangming, then head of the army, stood up to defend them, and politely begged the emperor to release them. Liu Jin immediately ordered Wang Yangming to be relegated to Longchang, Guizhou, to be a yicheng with no grade. Not only that, he also secretly sent someone to follow Wang Yangming, ready to kill him on the way. Wang Yangming met a killer by the Qiantang River, and jumped into the river at night to escape. Even so, Wang Yangming had to go to Guizhou to take up his post for the safety of his family. After the fall of Liu Jin, Wang Yangming was reused. But he was angered by the suppression of the rebellion of King Zhu Kuao, which not only did not get a reward from the emperor, but caused a terrible disaster instead. His official career is at a low ebb again. A year later, Emperor Zhengde died and Emperor Jiajing ascended the throne. Wang Yangming was appointed Shangshu of the Nanjing Military Department, which is only a spare time, and there is nothing big to do. Wang Yangming has experienced ups and downs in his life, but he has never been discouraged, constantly exploring the true meaning of life, making unremitting efforts to improve and spread his ideas, and finally became a generation of mind study master. Wang Yangming can not only cultivate his heart with virtue, pay attention to his own moral cultivation, tolerate all things with an open mind, but also stand firm on the bumpy road of life, do not fear the persecution of dignitaries, and resolutely adhere to his own ideals. He is worthy of being a gentleman as jade as iron, modesty as jade, and clank as iron, show the two characteristics of a gentleman's personality from different aspects. In today's world, it is numerous and complicated. If, as always, we only cultivate the temperament of modesty, but not the pride of clank, or the pride of clank, but not the temperament of modesty, I am afraid it will be difficult to achieve great things. If you want to achieve something in real life, you should, like Wang Yangming, pay attention to the way of square circle, not only cultivate the integrity of clank and iron, have a bottom line in life, and stress principles for others, but also take the circle of humility, as jade as a person, inclusive in all directions. Only in this way can we be able to do well in the bustling world, become its great event, and be praised by later generations. No matter Lang Lang, or the surging turbid world. It doesn't matter to me.